at the car,
right,
where we have a enormous rally, to climax the whole show. And so we are grateful to God, and I think that the delegates, having given us the assurance that Nana Akufo-Addo will be given a resounding victory, we can't wait for the 18th.
Now, your chairman is asking you to unite. Does that suggest that you are not united as a party?
Oh, I don't know what that definition is. On the 31st of August, the voters gave the Akufo-Addo 88.85 or thereabout. It seems to me that they spoke emphatically, and that was a more unifying vote than any other thing that anybody talking of. And so for me, that question was settled then, and it is because some of our colleagues and friends felt that they wanted to test the waters for the bigger picture. We are ready, and I believe that on the 18th, the party would speak emphatically again, and for Akufo-Addo to get over 80% of the votes cast. And once that is done, it seems to me that all persons who wanted, some assurance from the delegates would have had no doubt at all in their mind that in itself is a unifying vote or cry that we'll be looking for. So for me, there'll be no problem after the 18th. All these things that people talk and are worried about would be crucified, and buried.
Right, Sir John, let me ask you, we captured you in the shot a while ago showing your vote. You are a lawyer. You're supposed to know that under Article 49 of the 1992 Constitution, your vote is sacred. And so how come that after voting, you openly showed your vote to everyone who cared to see?
You see, as at the time that I voted, and we voted on the 31st of August, we did not have any rules that forbade anybody from behaving the way that I did.
Right.
And if the EC felt that I done something untoward, certainly they could have annulled, the vote that I cast.
But you are a lawyer. I'm speaking against the background that. No, I'm speaking. Sir John. Sir John, may I ask a follow-up question? It's against the background that you are a lawyer. You know there are constitutional provisions regulating voting and things like that. And for a person of your stature and caliber, whose influence is enormous on the party, you could have thought ahead in advance to be a bit circumspect in openly showing your ballot paper to the public.
Well, I believe that I was circumspect in the way that I behaved on that day. In 2012, I saw President John Mahama, when he went to vote, in the T-shirt that had his number inscribed on it. And nobody, and he was the president of this country, and nobody, the EC and everybody were present, the press were present, and nobody took issue, with regards to that.
Right.
And so, in my instance, I do not think that influenced in any way anybody voting for Nana Akufo-Addo as they did.
Right.
But this time I believe that there are rules that the EC says that if you did that, you'll be infringing upon a rule that they have set. We'll look at that.
Right, that's fine. Now, let me ask you, what is the exact message of Nana Akufo-Addo? I'm asking this against the backdrop that both the leading contenders, Nana Akufo-Addo and Alan Chimanting, are from the same political party, and you're vying to lead the party. How different is your message from Alan? So, can you tell me what Nanado's message has been all through the campaign?
Well, you see, Nanado's campaign message has been crafted alongside what Ghanaians want, what the party wants to hear.
And which is
before
what?
Before he decided to contest, Ghanaians have asked that we should bring Akufo-Addo, because without him, they would not vote for us in 2016.
But that's members of your party. That's only some members of your party. You can't say it reflects the views of all Ghanaians, really.
Well, I can tell you, if you go to the polls, and just over 80% of the persons who had valid vote to cast and endorse him, that's a statement. It is a massive statement.
Right.
It is a statement that went down and gelled with the people of this country. You know, the market women, the market queens, our brothers and sisters, teachers, doctors, people from all walks of life, you know, were satisfied.
Right. So what? So Sir John, what's the message? So what's the message? What's the message?
Let me say that. You see, the Nekufado's, our message is that indeed he won the 2012 election, and then we went to the court, and everybody saw what happened, you know, with the evidence that was laid. And with the person of that caliber, I mean, who, you know, in spite of his public life, has not been corrupted, you know, in any shape or form. And therefore, if you want somebody who is not corrupt and who will lead the party from the front, a person whose vision is some vision that will lead this whole country out of the woods, you know, where we find ourselves. Then we have best bet is to go to Akufo-Addo.
And that's the message?
And that's what we told the delegates, and they appear to understand.
And that's
if you want somebody who is as spotless, you know, as anything that you can find, they vote for Akufo-Addo, and then with the Akufo-Addo, you know,
and Sir John,
something better.
Right, Sir John, so that's all the message he has. I mean, I would think that this country is plagued with a lot of things, and from the political party level, as neutral observers like ourselves stand on the background, somebody like Nana-Addo would have taken advantage to crystallize his view or position on particular national issues like education, agriculture, health. None of these has come up. None of these have come up in his messages.
It has. I mean, if you went for him with him, and that's why I wanted to sum it up. If you went out with him, we talk about education, we talk about the economy,
right.
We talk about jobs, and his vision about any of all these problems that this country is trying for solution. And the Nekufado's views and you know, stands out clear. I have never seen any of my friends, you know, articulating any policy whatsoever. Whether it is economic, whether it's education, whether it is health, no such policy by any of them. But with the Akufo-Addo, you know, the policies that we took to the 2012 election are the things that he believes involved in agriculture, modernizing of the economy, and so on and so forth.
Right.
All these have been articulated clearly, and the delegates accept that, the party endorses that, and which is why, in my own view, and in the view of all the others, and Nekufado's will be giving the nod come the 18th of this month. And so, you know, for all these, and I can tell you, you ask any of the contestants, not even a single statement on the economy or any other thing, not the criticisms of the problems that we are going through as a country. None of them, you know, have a clue as to how to resolve that. It's only Akufo-Addo, you know, whose message is clear on all these you know, fronts. And I'm very happy that the party people have endorsed that, not even talk, you know, the education would have been the flagship of our campaign in 2012.
Right, Sir John, we're still trying to get onto the other telephone line and bring Ohininto, who is an aide to Alan Kyerematen, to join the discussion. But before I let you go, I need to find out from you that going into the Congress, October 18 Congress, what is the relationship between Nana Akufo-Addo and Alan Kyerematen, seeing that these two, I mean, I'm not disrespecting Adainimo, who is the third contestant in any way, but I mean, Alan and Nana-Addo appear to be the main contenders going into this election. What is the relationship between the two of them?
Well, it is fantastic. If you heard Alan, when he launched his campaign at Abeka, La Paz, or thereabout, you know, he repeated that position, that between him and Nana Akufo-Addo, there are no problems whatsoever. And I agree that is the correct position. But the problem that most people have is the fact that it is not about Alan nor Nana Akufo-Addo. It is about those who are following Alan all over the place, and the statements that they come out with. It is something that the party is not very happy with. And I would have thought that, you know, looking at the relationship between him and Nana Akufo-Addo, he would have called his voice to order. But unfortunately, no. And so you hear persons like Eldado and Ohinto and the rest, all, you know, making statements, you know, that do not sit well with the party people, and which is why it amazes me that we have 1 or 2 days to go, and then that is when the party is calling for a ceasefire in these matters. When they have at all times been there, they have witnessed the fact that these statements coming from such people do not help in any shape or form. So it amazes me, but it is not too late to mend. Having come out to say that people should cease fire, I hope and pray that the Nohinto and his people would accept that and for us to go. After all, they admit that the Nekufado would win hands down. And if that is so, then the noise must come down, because the party would want to be united around the Nekufado, come the 18th of October. And I thought that at all in my mind that Nana would have over 80% of the votes cast on the 18th.
Right, Sir John, we're very grateful for your time. Sir John is an aide to Nana Addo and former General Secretary of the opposition New Patriotic Party. Let's get on to the other telephone line now and bring in political science lecturer, Dr. Isaac Odumensa. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us on today's big story.
Good evening, my brother.
And now, when we look at the MPP going to Congress on October 8th, there have been a lot of issues that have all trickled down from the Super Delegates Congress, which was held earlier this year. And, there are people questioning whether any key messages have come out of these campaigns. For example, Nana Addo's campaign and Alan Chimantin's campaign. As a political science lecturer, I do know that this is an internal matter for the MPP, but wouldn't you say their messages should have perhaps escalated from internal to national issues, so that these will bring the difference between the two leading contenders as they go to elections?
Sure, we would have expected that each of the candidates will come out with a special message within the party's own internal elections that they are going to. But as you all know, our democracy have now grown to that level whereby within the party, people have their own ideas and philosophies that they will espouse, to extend that voters or delegates are going to look up that in determining which candidate is better or which candidate they must vote for at the end of the day. And I'm sure that as our democracy grows high, people will look up to that. But we also expect that within the national policy itself, that is very important as in our national democratic development. But unfortunately, within the national level, we still have about 40-40 for the bigger political parties of NPP or NDC. And therefore, people are not able to look up to which policy is going to be better, which policy are going to be good for the country. So if we are able to move to that level from the national level, I'm sure in future we move also down to the party level as well.
Right, Doc, we keep making statements that our political structures or our democracy has not developed to that extent. But is it not time for us to set leading examples? For example, I mean, Nana Addo, who is a seasoned politician, and Alan Chimantin, who is also a seasoned politician, should have taken the horn, the bull by the horn, and set the agenda and telling Ghanaians what they have for the nation, rather than going the party line, really.
Sure. I completely agree with you that we've been talking too much about the fact that our democracy is not grown to this level and that. I completely agree with you. I think that it is time that we move on to the extent in which messages that the candidates will push on will be the issue or determining factors where the delegates are going to look up to. But I must also say that within, even in a very developed democracy like the US and the UK, the ideology of the party is what normally drives the whole process. But the question of how we go to pursue that particular ideology, individuals have their personal ideologies which would direct them where to go or where not to go. So you are right that we've been looking at that. But unfortunately, coming to this particular election, has been Nana Addo or Alan. Unfortunately, that has been the thing, and I think that we hope and pray that as we move forward in the next 2 years of our democratic cycle, we'll be able to look at issues within the party and approaches of pursuing political ideology. And that would be the driving factor in which delegates or voters are going to look up.
Right. Let me bring in the issues of the NDC as well. I mean, I know that we're dedicating our discussion to the NPP and their preparations towards the Congress, but the NDC has had agitations in their party structure as well. I mean, some of it has gone to court. There have been suggestions for out-of-court settlements. There recently been threats. You know, some have threatened to take further legal action if the issues are not resolved properly. There have been also agitations within the NPP as well. When you look at these agitations that are going on in the internal structures of the two leading political parties in Ghana, does it worry you?
Not so much, because the good thing is that, and I'm very happy to say it, the good thing is that when there are issues, people are not taking cutlasses and people are not fighting. Of course, there are a few out of place comments in the media. If people are going to court and other things, it is better. But I will push, and I'll keep pushing all the time that all the parties, the NDC and NPP, they have their own internal structures in which they are being used to resolve their problems. So when people rush to court, then I'm very happy about the role the judiciary is playing in this front. Always asking them to go and use the internal mechanism to resolve problems. One thing that is very important for all of us as we are studying politics in Ghana is that within the party there are blocks, and within the blocks there are other interests within the blocks. So there will always be agitation, left agitation, right here and there. It is part of political party development. Not only in Ghana, even in developed democracies, there are these agitations within their parties. But how it is resolved, that is most important, because that's what makes the party. Parties are people coming from various and diverse backgrounds, all coming together with the objective of taking political power at the end of the day. So these internal, if you want, arguments and all kinds of divisions will always erupt up within the party. But it must be resolved and resolved very well.
Right. Now, as we move into the next phase of our democracy, whilst the country prepares for the 2016 elections, we do know, it's a fact that NPP has had its first share of governance of this country. NDC has had their first share also. Now, there are two different political ideologies here. Do you feel that the approaches to governance from these two political blocs have been any different in shaping Ghana's development up to this point?
As far as the ideologies are concerned, I don't think that there's so much difference in terms of the approaches to development. Because if you look at the NPP, which is supposed to be market-led party, also have the concept of which is very well practiced in Germany for social market economy, whereby the poor is really taken care of, by which they brought a lot of what we call distributive policies like the national health insurance, capitation, leave, and all that. So, an NDC came to continue on them, and even I must say, as a student of politics, that NDC did better in that particular social intervention, much even more than the NDC, which is supposed to be social-oriented democratic party. So, in terms of ideology, I don't think that it has really determined the path in which they will pursue our political agenda in this country, especially in the line of development. No, there's no significant difference between the two parties.
Right, Dr. Isaac Owusu-Mensah, we're grateful for your time. Let's now shift our attention to the NDC, because the court will have to decide on when they can vote for their new executives. One Linus Nyonola dragged the party to court, accusing the current national executives of overstaying their mandated tenure of office. Meanwhile, the pressure group has given the party's national executives a 1-week ultimatum to settle out of court. The group's argument is that the party's apathy towards the court case is a deliberate attempt to continue staying in office. Is that really the case? Let's jump onto the telephone line now and get George Lawson, who's the General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us. Mr. Lawson, we're grateful that you could join us on today's big story. Good evening. Right. I think that where he's not here, and as George Lawson is Deputy General Secretary of the NDC in charge of operations, we're hoping to restore him back onto the telephone so we can have a quick discussion on the issues that are boiling within the NDC. Now, this is on the back of the fact that the NPP is preparing towards its October 8 Delegates Congress, which will determine whether it will be Alan or it will be Nana Akufo-Addo or it will be Adainimo who will lead the party to the 2016 general elections. Against this backdrop, the party has issued a 6-point guidelines for all members of the party, which also includes the fact that everyone is expected to respect the Article 49 of the 1992 Constitution, which mandates that individual votes must be sacred. That people like Sir John, who earlier in the Super Delegates Congress showed his vote to everyone who cared to see, will be punished if they did that. And we've spoken to a political science lecturer to give us some interpretations about the various tensions between these two leading political parties. We jumped to NDC now, and George Lawson, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC, is joining us. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you?
By His grace, I'm fine.
We get a sense that the NDC is also facing its own problems. I mean, there being threat of going to court, there being this group within the party which is more like pushing for an out-of-court settlement. Your party is shaking, isn't it?
Pardon, I didn't get that one very
right. I'm asking you if your party is doing well against the backdrop of the things that are happening within the party. Threats here, court cases here. Is everything all right?
Yes, everything is all right. I mean, we are in a democratic dispensation, and people are trying to use their democratic rights to address their issues that are their grievances. So far, but as whether how the democratic rights are utilized or are used is another matter. So we are not in any crisis. That is the beauty of democracy. Under dictatorial regimes, it would have been something different. And here we are not wielding machete or using violent means to address. They are using legitimate means. So how can our party be in this? It's only that our election timetable, it has affected our election timetable. That's all.
Right. Now tell me, George, I know that you are for the out-of-court settlement. What informed your decision to go for out-of-court settlement, and now you're telling me that you're not wielding machetes to solve your problems? If you're not wielding machetes, wouldn't the court be the right place to settle?
Yeah, but as far as, again, family matters, as I'm in my upbringing, family matters are dealt within the family. They are not dealt outside.
Okay.
Family issues are resolved within. They are not resolved outside the family. When anything crops up in my family, the family is brought together, and then we will try to find an amicable solution. We don't take it outside. That is it. So I am taking a cue from that, from my upbringing. And again, I don't come from that so litigant family. Our great-grandfather did laws in the 1700s, and he knows how litigation, how expensive, and the time wasted. So that is why in our family, when it comes to litigation, we try, when issues crop up, we try to settle it within the family, rather than going out to wash our dirty linen in public.
Right. So quickly, I mean, are you not worried that going into election 2016, you are gradually making yourselves unpopular and feeding the opposition MPP with ammunition to use against you for election 2016? I mean, it's clear that the country, we are facing challenges. We have a president who is superseding a lot of challenges, which the government has announced several plans to solve one thing or the other. So on the face of all these challenges, if your party also now has issues, aren't people going to be thinking it's time to kick you out?
Challenges or troubles or whatever makes you stronger, not bitter. So it is rather making us stronger. But again, in terms of 2016 elections are won at the grassroots level, at police stations and ever. And again, we have done our constituency conferences, so we are strong as ever. The people who do the work are the constituency level. And here we have finished with the constituency conferences. Here is a matter of only regional conferences and then national congress. So that the people already are poised for action. They are hitting the ground running. They've already started work at the constituency level. So it's not a matter of that we are weak. No, we are not weak, but we are more than strong. And this one is also adding to making our democracy grow. And we are showing the way that we will not wield machetes, we will not use violent means, we use legitimate means. Though I am for this, and we are not weak, we are strong.
You're not weak.
Because the constituencies are there.
Right. Thank you very much, George Lawson, Deputy General Secretary of the NDC. We're grateful that you could make time with us. And thanks to you for making time to watch today's big story. We'll be right back with an interactive segment. Stay with us.